It can be easy to forget, but Resident Evil and Capcom weren't doing so hot around a decade ago. Not only was Resident Evil 6 a commercial failure, but it was also panned by critics and fans alike. It was a huge wake-up call for Capcom to stop making subpar product and appealing to solely Western fans, resulting in their modern renaissance with Resident Evil 7,
a fucking pocket knife,
and the Resident Evil 2 remake. All of this has led to Resident Evil Requiem, the 9th mainline title in the series, and easily one of the most anticipated games in the series to date, might I add. Can Capcom continue their streak of excellent Resident Evil games following Resident Evil 4 Remake, or will this game be another monstrous abomination like the Dark Ages? Hi, this is Joshua Howard from Smash Jump, and this is my review for Resident Evil Requiem.
I think I want a second opinion.
Resident Evil Requiem follows Grace Ashcroft as she investigates the murder at the same hotel where her mother, Alyssa Ashcroft, a character from Resident Evil Outbreak, died many years ago, getting entwined in the experiments of Victor Gideon and the remnants of Umbrella. At the same time, Leon Kennedy is investigating the string of deaths directly linked to the survivors of Raccoon City, which not only threatened himself, but also his partner Sherry Birkin, who have contracted the sickness as well. Both of these stories merge at Rhodes Hill Care Center, where the game truly begins, as horror and action blend together. Similarly to many of the recent Resident Evil entries and remakes, we once again have a mainline Resident Evil game with more than one playable protagonist. Grace Ashcroft is our newcomer to the series, whose section focuses more on survival horror and stealthing around dangerous enemies. Leon Kennedy, on the other hand, is all about action and over-the-top boss fights, which really fits his experience in the series really well. They represent these different playstyles to the gameplay perspective. By default, Grace sections are done in first person, in the vein of Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil 8, and the Leon sections are done in third person, like Resident Evil 4. There is an option to change the perspective of each character, going from first to third person, but I recommend playing the way the game recommends you to play, which is first person as Grace and third person as Leon, as it really enhances the differences between both characters and their gameplay. At first, I really wasn't sure how the game splitting between straight out horror of the newer games with the action-oriented gameplay of Resident Evil 4, but it works beautifully. Both sections are given plenty of time to shine and show just how much both aspects of the series deserve to be represented. Resident Evil can be scary, but it can also be an action movie. Previous games in the series proved can work, like Resident Evil 5. Grace's sections were above and beyond my favorite, having some of the best tension and atmosphere that I've seen in a Resident Evil game and in horror games in my time as a video game fan. You feel really weak as Grace, only having access to a few handguns and the stealth mechanics, which make you think carefully about how to engage enemies, because the enemies in this game are no joke. Grace's sections don't just feel like Resident Evil 7 again, they bring new and interesting ideas to the gameplay formula. One mechanic they've expanded on is crafting of bullets, ink ribbon, even a variety of health items. One new item that deserves a highlight is the injector, which gives Grace the ability to do a stealth kill and make the enemy explode in a glorious fashion. To craft these items, you of course need blood, which can be collected by either killing enemies, collecting blood bags, or looking for buckets of blood or other contextual items. Along with blood, you need scrap, which can be combined with the blood to create items. This creates a really engaging item economy, where you have to be picky about which items you create, because they can affect your playstyle and how well you can defend yourself against the enemies. Do you create the stealth item so you can get a potential stealth kill? But if you get a stealth kill, then you can't collect blood. Or do you make more ammo and have more opportunities to defend yourself? Or do you make a health item in case you do get damage? These are things you have to think about and make the game really engaging. The atmosphere and level design in this game are top notch, with the Rhodes Hill Care Center being one of my new favorite locations in the series. The way the zombies shamble through the halls, performing the same tasks that they did when they were alive, such as cleaning the bathroom or turning the lights on and off, feel really creepy and natural in this setting. It feels like a fully realized place that doesn't fall victim to the problem that the mansions in Resident Evil Village felt, where it barely lasted 1/4 of the game's runtime and was a pretty static location. Some of the creepiness is lost on repeated playthroughs, but I did really enjoy what they did with the design of this care facility. Raccoon City is also a nice departure as far as environments go, even if it does indulge a bit too much on nostalgia, but even that nostalgia is used for a narrative and character purpose. so I think it's fine, and it is a really fun time. The least fun part of the game has to be the last hour or so, where they start introducing human enemies, and the lab sections with Leon's sickness, where you start coughing uncontrollably and the screen goes wibbly wobbly. It's just not very fun to play on repeat playthroughs and does hurt the pacing. The technical performance of this game is pure wizardry. It ran super crisp on my PC, which is not the most powerful rig out there, with an Intel i7 CPU and an Nvidia 3050 card. The game basically never stuttered during my time playing it, with the only parts of the game that had any performance drops being some of the more chaotic moments when I was in Raccoon City. It made sense considering how many zombies you can fight in those sections as Leon, compared to Resident Evil 4 Remake that had De Novo, which made the game run like garbage on my PC. This game was a dream to play, and I had barely any issues. The game has a really impressive gameplay system where every enemy in the game is a persistent gameplay element. Means that if you kill an enemy as Grace, then Leon would not need to kill that enemy during his section when he goes to the places that Grace has gone, and vice versa. The same goes for items you choose to collect, which can be picked up by either Grace or Leon, reminiscent of the zapping system in the original Resident Evil 2, which was a very pleasant surprise. And I do believe it is a technical achievement. The music of Resident Evil Requiem is also really nice and adds to the atmosphere of the action and the horror. Angela Sant'Albano, the voice of Grace Ashcroft, stole the show in Requiem, having one of the best horror game performances that I've heard in quite a long time. The way she goes from a nervous wreck in the beginning who could barely hold a gun to a strong and determined hero who fights and protects the people that she cares about is really well done. She is one of my new favorite additions to the series, and I do really hope we get to see more of her in the coming titles. Nick Apostolides did a great job coming back as Leon, and did an amazing job just showing how far his character came from a rookie cop to a confident hero who does whatever he can to protect innocents from danger. All the rest of the cast was performed super well too, such as Victor Gideon, who is really intimidating, if not a bit underutilized.
Don't embarrass yourself, Mr. Kennedy. You can't beat me.
As much as this game really did impress me, it still has quite a few issues that Capcom just can't seem to shake off no matter how many times they try with Resident Evil. The primary villains in this game are Victor Gideon and Xeno, which are very entertaining to watch and do have their moments, but ultimately do not live up to the truly memorable villains of the series like Albert Wesker.
7 minutes. 7 minutes is all I can spare to play with you.
Nothing can quite match Wesker from Resident Evil 5, and this game was unable to make a villain to live up to that standard. The final boss was very underwhelming, which is too bad considering how good the ending of the game actually is narratively. You don't even get a proper fight with Xeno, which is a crime against mankind. Capcom needs to do a better job of giving these villains more time to shine and making their final encounters more memorable. The last few hours of the game, while not bad, just do not live up to the quality of the earlier parts of the game, and it seems like it was losing quite a bit of steam by the end of the game. It didn't help by the end we were being hit by flashbacks, floor dumps, and the worst case of choose your ending that I've seen in quite a long time. The bad ending is just a joke, and I feel bad for anyone who picked that ending as it was super anticlimactic. Not to mention that once the game introduces zombies with guns and armed soldiers, the Leon sections start feeling more annoying than fun or exhilarating. Thankfully, the game knew when to end. Resident Evil Requiem is not a perfect game, as I do have some minor nitpicks with the late game pacing, some lackluster bosses, and some questionable story decisions. Despite this, I believe that this is one of the best games in the series and is a serious contender for Game of the Year. The horror and atmosphere are gripping and never let go, and the action is some of the best I've seen from the series since Resident Evil 5. Mark my words, Resident Evil Requiem is going to go down as one of the best games this year.